Okay, so I'm sorry for that. So how many of you are still installing the thing? Okay, very good. So for those who are not, in case you're bored, I'm just going to show you how you would do it without the thumb drives. Right. So if in the event you need to reinstall, yeah, you can. So what I would do is, because I installed this a long time ago, I can't remember, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to Google GitHub help, and this is because I know that they have kind of a good help site, and this is not what you should see. I'm so sorry. Username. I'm connected. Okay, very good. So I Google GitHub help, right? And I know they have a very nice help page for me. So I'll go to that page, and you see there's this very nice AutoCAD there, and it says Setup Git. So I'll click that, and yeah, they basically have instructions for how you can set up Git for Mac, Windows, Linux, yeah, anything really. And what we are doing today is for Windows users, we are following this. Skip the guide, download our native app instead. We're doing this part here, and basically if you click this button, it's exactly the same as what you'll get from the thumb drive. Right, there'll be some instructions for you, and you follow it. For Mac users, however, we are not going to forget the terminal, because that's kind of the terminal is awesome. And basically what we did was download and install Git, and we followed these instructions here. Right. This link will be on the school.NUS Hacker site, and you can refer to it after if you're not sure. Okay, so anyone still installing right now? Okay. For those of you who are not, on the Mac, right, I want you to go to the terminal. I want you to go to Applications. It should be in Utilities. And this thing here, this very foreign looking thing here, just click on the terminal. And don't freak out if it's just white words on black background. Yeah, on the terminal. And for the Windows users, okay, so anyone still not done installing? Wow. Yeah, I'm so sorry. This part is not important. Anyone?
Apparently, can the Windows people find the Git shell and is it working? Okay, you don't need to reinstall, but you need to manually do a little bit of work. Because yeah, we just copied on the folder if you notice, because it's like 35 megabytes. Okay, so just go to the folder where you downloaded GitHub for Windows. Okay, I'll have to find it for him. Well, yeah. I'm just fixing things for the Mac user, so disabled at this. Yeah, just go to the folder where you copied GitHub. Not here. See this? Okay, so when you're in this folder, if you shift right click, you'll get this option here. When you're in the GitHub folder, open command window, and you can just go github.exe will do as well, and just add open shell. Did everyone? Did everyone get that? Open shell. There's 2 dashes at the front, then open dash shell. Okay? And this should do the trick. It'll take a while to start up. Okay. Yeah, you should get this thing, and to test whether it's working, just type git and enter, and just type git like that and enter.
Who cannot get it working? Yeah, raise your hand.
Yeah, those who can't get it working will help you out personally. So, okay.
Thanks.
If you ask you to install, right, he does install. If you open, the installer will take forever. It's like 35 MB downloads. Oh, if I ask you to open the it's already there. Instead of double clicking, you just type it in. But they won't follow. Okay, so those who haven't done it on Windows, just what am I doing? What is this supposed to solve? Open git shell. Okay. Yeah, okay, so those who don't have the git shell, just go to the folder. Let me close this shit. I don't know what's happening. God, can you take me back to Windows?
Command minus.
Okay, command minus, okay. So our objective is to get this shell, right? So to do this right, just browse to the folder. You know, we passed around the thumb drives, you guys copied in a folder called GitHub for Windows. Just go to that folder, and it will look slightly different from mine because here it was actually installed rather than copied. But you'll have something like github.exe or something, and what you do is in that folder you just shift and right click, and you'll get this option here, open command window here. Does everyone get that? If you don't, just raise your hand. Okay, I'm going to presume that you did. And when you get that right, you type this in, github.exe or whatever. For me, it's slightly different, but for you, it'll be .exe. So, okay, you have to type this in, .exe, and then you type this particular stuff inside. Okay, and you just press enter, and it will take some time, and in a while, the PowerShell with Git should start up. Is everyone okay? Sean, the guy behind you.
Yeah, this one doesn't do anything that I do. Huh? Yeah, okay. You didn't pay a lot. it's not like you guys need to oh yeah, right.
Basically, it should have come up after some time.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. But you do. Yeah, two problems. They all reformat to install these apps.
Yeah, installing GitHub as well in the background. So yeah. No, just a hacky.
You got read for it.
I think the problem is those who started reinstalling the
Oh, okay, so
then I don't know if it's still gonna work, so what am I supposed to install?
restart.
Yeah.
As in, no, the GitHub, you install the whole GitHub. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, okay. No. Not the folder. Not the folder.
Yeah. Hey, Yongrong. That's the thumb drive.
Thumb drive.
Yeah.
Is there something called open command example here?
Hey, you need the.
I don't know if people need to reinstall. There's like thumb drives.
There's a download going on. Like,
Cancel the download.
yeah.
Cancel the download.
Hey, cancel the download, right, Sean?
Cancel.
If people are downloading on Windows, cancel the download.
The weird thing is some of them suddenly it pops up after a while.
Yeah, this is why we all switch to Unix.
It opens the what? Yeah, take a while. It starts the download.
Yeah, for those.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It should tell you that it's starting a download.
What?
According to Palam, it starts a download and then it doesn't tell you anything, just new prompt. And then once it's done, it starts up the.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, lah. It can't be. It just downloaded 25 megabytes of data in like 20 seconds on this network.
Yeah, again.
Back then.
Yes, back then.
Yes. Remotely any amount of.
The same. We thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is not either downloading or yeah, it's still stuck. Like no one has come to you yet. So
The end state, how you know it works, is you type git, then you press enter. Oh wait, sorry. I think this is the wrong place.
so how you know if it's working is if you
Okay, for whom it's not working, you have to do it in the GitHub for Windows folder, not from the desktop.
How do we go to the GitHub for Windows folder?
use the fucking Explorer. That's not a...
Hey, not everybody has that.
Okay, so everyone is either downloading or done, right?
Who is not done?
Who's
Not done.
not
Raise your hands.
downloading or done? Downloading?
Downloading, not done.
Okay, very good. So let's just let it download.
Anybody else?
Okay, so you're either downloading or done. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on right now. Independently of Git.
Actually, you know what?
Okay?
Mac users? No.
Independently of Git. We'll come back to this in maybe 20 minutes when everyone's done. So no.
Suspend it and then start the recording. You can say that we just installed. If you're watching this recording and you haven't installed, figure it out.
Let's let the downloads download and let's go back to Sublime. Right, there's a lot more cool stuff that we can do without the Git yet. So everyone with me, I want you to go to. Let me recap briefly what we did. So last we left off, we managed to load a main.js file into our page. We logged to the console. We told jQuery to go fetch us the image element and then set its width to 200, right? And then we refreshed the page and it did that. So that's really cool. So now, this is actually slightly underwhelming, right? We refresh the page, it resized to 200. We could do it in CSS. You should do it in CSS if you want to resize an image, right? And yeah, this is not very much interesting, but it's going to get better, trust me. So now what I want you to do, right, is go to main.js. And I want you to type this. I want you to highlight the 2 lines. I want you to comment it. So what you do is you highlight your 2 lines and you press Command/ or Control/ if you're on Windows. Right, and Sublime comments that out for you. Okay, so save that. And now we're going to start with the next section. And I want you to just copy after me, just follow after me what I'm typing and I'll explain later. Okay, so type $, open, document without quotes, .ready, open, type function, open parentheses, go to the right by 1, open brace, and hit enter. And then go to the last the last line and put a semicolon there. And save the file. Right. $document without quotes, .ready, open parentheses, function, open close parentheses, open brace, enter, close brace, parentheses, semicolon. All good? All got that? Save the file. And now I'm going to tell you what this does. And what this does, right, is if you read it, it's just jQuery document ready function. And what this is telling jQuery is jQuery, the document, right, when it is ready, run this function. Okay, let me repeat that. So jQuery, the document, when it's ready, run this function and run the code inside the function. Right. And this raises a question, what do you mean by the document is ready? Right. And think about it, so far we've been doing jQuery, go look for this image for me. Go look for this h1 tag for me. Go look for the boo class, the tag with boo class, right? And think about your web page loading from the server, right? Where you have crappy internet like we do now, right? Maybe the HTML text come down first. Maybe the HTML file comes down first, and it takes some time to, to render on the page, to be ready. And in this time, the jQuery and the JavaScript files are ready already, right? They are loaded already, and the browser goes ahead and executes them. But the page is not ready yet, so the page is still empty, right? And then jQuery looks at your code and it says, go find me the image tag. So it goes to the document, and the page is not loaded, right? The page is not ready yet. It can't find anything there, and it returns nothing, and nothing happens. Then you see the page, and the image is still the original size, right? So this might happen, right? Your script executes first, so the code runs first, and jQuery can't find anything because your HTML file, your HTML text is not ready yet, right? Not ready to be searched by jQuery. So what this three lines is doing is basically jQuery only run the code here when the document is ready, right? That's basically what it's saying, right? So every time you write jQuery code, just put them inside this, right? There's nothing special here. Just follow this, and every time you write jQuery code, just put your code inside here, okay? And so what I want you to do now is to copy line 2 and paste it inside this block. Right, and then uncomment it and save. Now go back to your browser. Refresh the page. And you should see the same thing basically without the console message. Right? Because basically we are doing the same thing. Now we are just doing it only when the document is ready. Right? So this is not very interesting. But let's do something more. So below this, I want you to type this. jQuery. Find me the image element. And when it is clicked, right, open parentheses, function again, like the ready function. Open close parentheses, open brace, hit enter, and the same thing go to the end and put a semicolon there. Right. So what this is basically saying is jQuery, go find me the image element, and when I click it, do this function, run this function here. Okay, so to prove this to you, right, I want you to shift this line here into this function, into the new function that we just wrote. Right. So copy that and paste it inside. Okay. Now save the file and go to Chrome. And if you refresh the page, you realize that the image is now large again. Right? It has not resized yet. Right? It's waiting for us. Right? So if you go ahead and click the image, which I'm sure most of you already have, right? You'll see that it resizes. Right? It's pretty cool, right? Now you can see how Twitter did it. Right? It waited. It said when it probably told jQuery when the cross is clicked, right? Do something. And for us, it's resizing the image. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Let's try it again. Refresh the page. You click. This is quite cool, right? So there's more to this. So I want you to go back to main.js, and I'm going to type something above this function. I'm going to type $image close. jQuery, go find me the image and .on open parentheses, a string, and right click, comma, space, function, open and close parentheses, curly brace, enter, and put the semicolon at the end. Right. Looks slightly different. Instead of .click, we have .on. Instead of the function, now we have click, comma, function. Right. Save this file. And now I'm going to tell you that this new function, these new 3 lines that we just wrote, is exactly the same as the 3 lines that we wrote before. Right. This image.onClick function is the same as image.click. Right. These two things are the same. Okay. And the reason for this is that this basically means this. Right. This is basically saying, so let me explain this. This is basically saying jQuery, go find me the image tag, and when it is clicked, do this function. Right. On click, do this function. Right. And this click in quotes, this is very good for us, right? Because you realize the browser can do many other things besides click. Right. We have double click, we have mouse move, maybe we have key press. There's a whole list of what we call events. Right. This browser events. Click, key press, key up, key down. There's a whole list, and the whole list can be found online. We'll put it on our site, but we don't really want to concern ourselves with that whole list of things. I'm just going to introduce you to 2 today, which is click and double click. Right. Simple things that we can test out. Okay. So what I need to do now is to go ahead and change this click here. Okay, wait, before that, let's just copy and paste this into our new function. Right, to convince ourselves that it's the same, I want you to copy and paste it into the new function and comment out the old one. Right, and then save it. Right. So if what I've been saying is true, this will be the same, right? Basically telling jQuery, find the image, and on the click event, do this. And let's go over to our browser and let's try it out. Right, refresh the page. The image is large. Click on the image. It scales down. Right? It's the same thing basically. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the new version is preferred. Right? Because it gives us so much more power, as you'll see in a bit. Okay? So everyone got this? So I think I'll introduce you to two events today, right? And the other one is double click. So what I want to do now is I'm going to say I want to go to Sublime, replace the click with double click. Okay. Save the file. Let's go back to Chrome. Refresh the page. And click once on the image. Right? Nothing happens, right? And double click on the image now. And the function is executed, right? jQuery knows you want a double click, you don't want a single click. You click once, I'm not going to do anything. You double click it, I'm going to run your code. And this is pretty cool, right? Now we can have all sorts of random things. We can say, oh, this when you double click this, do this. When you click this, do that. Right? When you do this other thing, do this. And yeah, now we kind of have a lot of power right now. And let's do something more interesting. So instead of just setting width, right? I'm going to go to Sublime now. I'm going to teach you a few more cool things before we take another short break. Right? So when the image is double clicked, I want to set the image width to 200. And I want to tell jQuery, go find me the H1 tag. Right. But this time, I want you to fade out. I want you to find the H1 tag and fade it out. Right, so fade out with a capital O. And put a semicolon at the end again. Right, save this. And now I want you to go to Chrome, refresh the page. Right. And if you remember, the H1 tag is basically this thing here. Right. This thing here is the H1 tag. So I want you to double click on the image now. And you see that the image shrunk and the H1 tag faded out. It's quite cool, right? Let's do one more. Now, when I double click on the image, I want to shrink the width of the image. I want to fade H1 out, and I want jQuery to find boo boo. And I want it to slide up. Right, so you can imagine boo boo is here. When I double click, it's going to slide up. Right, it's going to kind of like a curtain, right? A roller blind. It's going to slide up. And let's save that. And let's refresh the page. I'm going to get rid of my console for a bit, just so we can see the effects. And I want you to double click on the image. And you can see it faded out. The H1 tag faded out. Boo boo slide up. Let me redo that. Boo boo slide up. And the image resized. Right? Quite cool, right? Of course, if you do all this together, it's okay, I guess. Right? Let's do one more. Go back to Sublime, and this is the last one I'm going to introduce right now. And I want to make Rahul disappear. And so I tell jQuery, go find me Rahul, and hide it. Right, save the file, and we go back to Chrome, refresh the page, and double click on the image. And if you recall, Rahul is this thing, right? So Rahul is hidden, the image becomes smaller, boo boo gets slide up, and it's hidden in the process. H1 fades out, right? There's a ton of this. This is probably 5% of what jQuery gives you or offers you. And I'm not going to go through all of them because they all look the same. You basically find the element, you do dot, and you do something to it, and it happens on screen. No. Yeah. So jQuery, a bunch of smart people, not so old, a bunch of smart people came together. They wrote this really nice thing. They realized that people know CSS, so let's take their knowledge of CSS, translate it into this cool thing called jQuery, and then people, you always want to do hide and stuff like that, like common things, and they put them all into a very nice function signature, and it looks like this now, right? So that's why we use jQuery. It makes your life so much easier. Okay, so this is cool, right? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to stop here right now. There's one more thing I want to cover, but I think I'll do that later. I'm not going to give everything away right now. For those of you who are installing Git, are all of you done? Anyone not? No? Okay, so now I'm gonna proceed with Git because I kind of like, yeah, I can't shift the section around anymore, and without it not making without it making sense. So I want you to go to the command line, and I'm going to refer to this as the command line from now on. Whether you are Windows, in your shell, in your PowerShell, in your command, in your prompt, or if you're on a Mac on a terminal, I'm just going to say this is the command line, right? And the first and foremost, I want you to type Git. Okay, hit enter, and you see a bunch of strange stuff. You're on the right track. Okay, if you see a bunch of strange things, very good. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is to type this with me: git config, which is short for configure, -- global so type these three things, space, user dot name space followed by your name. So you in quotes. So you're going to put quotes and your name, and this part don't copy blindly because yeah, you are not Michael, right? So anyway, just to put your name there and hit enter, right? So type this and hit enter. So this is a one-time setup. Now that you just installed Git, right? You just need to do this once. So I actually had to go Google it yesterday because I did it a long time ago, right? So after you do this today, you don't have to do it again. So the next thing you do is you type git. Again, the same thing. You type git config -- global user dot email quotes, followed by your email in quotes. Right, so git config -- global user dot email and followed by your email in quotes. Right, all good? And hit enter. Okay, so I'm not going to use this. Actually, yeah. Hit enter. And you should get this underwhelming thing. Like, you just do this. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to digress for a bit. Right? I'm going to teach you some Unix stuff. Because, but I'm not going to digress too much. I'm a bit lazy. So I'm just going to teach you just enough so that I can carry on with my teaching and then with the lesson, and then that's that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to teach you is ls. Right? So ls stands for list. And if I do this, and you hit enter, you get a bunch of stuff. And okay, so ls, right? ls stands for list. And what it basically says is list out all the things in your current, in where you are, right? And so I put up my Finder or Explorer for those of you, and it basically listed this, right, in a slightly more geeky way on the command line, right? It's the same, correct? Like applications, I got bin, desktop, etc., etc. Okay, so ls basically does a list of all the things of where you're at. And then that leads me to my next command, which is where you're at, right? So pwd, which stands for print working directory, right? And if you hit enter, it basically says where you are, right? So ls for list tell you what all the things of where you are, and pwd tells you where you are. Okay? And the last command that I'm going to teach you now is cd, which stands for change directory. Right? And basically cd allows you to move into a different folder. Right? Like if you are in your Finder or Explorer, you would if you're in your Finder or Explorer, you would just click on something, right? Let's say I want to go to my desktop, I'll just click on it and I go in. In the terminal, it's the same. You do cd and you type desktop, right? And if you enter, you pwd, you're at your desktop, right? How do you do it? So everyone got that? No? And who cannot get this? Guys, can we? This all the things. No, because you were in a folder that was empty. Yeah, so if you don't see anything, right, chances are you are in an empty folder. Right?
Is it PowerShell or is it?
Do it in your you know that. So okay, so what most of you have, right, is that you are in a folder that was empty. And okay, I'm so sorry, I should totally have foreseen that. If your folder is empty, right, and you do a ls, it shows you nothing, and then okay, so maybe it might not work. And if you try to cd into desktop, which basically says cd into the thing called desktop in this folder, right, the computer will go like, there's no such thing as desktop in this folder, right, and then it crashes. So what you want to do is basically, to get out of that folder, to go one level up, you do cd ... Right, cd ... means go up one level. And if I'm at my desktop, one level up will be Michael, and basically I went up one level, right? And if I cd desktop again, I'm in my desktop now. Okay? Everyone got this? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to stop teaching Unix because my Unix isn't very good. I want you to cd now into boilerplate. So your boilerplate is on your desktop, right? So I do a ls here, I see boilerplate, I'm going to cd boilerplate, and I'm in my boilerplate. I can pwd to double confirm. I can ls to show what's inside, index.html is there, very good. So everyone who's not at boilerplate yet? Okay. Are you at boilerplate in the folder? Everyone good? Okay, so the next thing I want you to type, right, is to type git. So this is the important part. Now we are really doing git already. Just now just Unix crap, right? And now we are really doing git. So I need you to pay attention in this part. So you should be in boilerplate. I want you to do git init, which is short for initialize. And this really says git, this folder is pretty important. I want you to watch it for me, right? Press enter. And git throws out some stuff, and basically it says, okay, I'll watch it for you. Alright? All good? Okay, so now I want you to take a step back, right? And I'm going to show you an image. I'm going to show you an image. I'm going to try to describe Git, what Git is to you, or what you should think, or how you should think about Git right now. Right? So I'm just going to tell you a story about Git before we go any further. Right. So imagine you have this project, right? You're writing some code, and you know it's a good idea to back up your stuff, right? And so the closest parallel I can draw for you is this. It's Dropbox. And one of the few compelling reasons is that we use this is that it keeps a copy of our stuff, right, safe in the cloud. So if my computer kind of like, if I spill coffee on it right now, I know that okay, some of my files are in Dropbox, it's safe there, right? But Git is so much more. This is like maybe 1% of what Git does. And so the mental image of Git I want you to have right now is something like this. Right? This versions thing is really cool, right? But this is only for one file. Imagine all your files have this with Git, right? So I can browse to a time in the past, and because I use Git to store all these backups of my code, right? I can just jump there, take some stuff, right? Go to an old copy of my file, copy the important stuff, and get out, right? Go through and fro in time, not having to worry, oh, what if I make a change now and it's wrong, and then I don't have my original copy, etc., etc. Right? Think about this, not in terms of only one file, but in terms of your whole project, or your whole folder, like boilerplate, for instance. Okay, so I want you to have this image in your mind. You don't have to understand it. Just have this image that you're going to make a lot of backups, right? So that Git can help you keep track of them, and you can use them in the future. Alright? So, enough of this. Now, I'm going to teach you some more commands, because we only know one, git init, and that's not very interesting. Right. I want you to go and type this. This next command will be your friend. You will use it more often than not. It's git status. And basically this says, git, tell me the status of this directory I told you to watch. Right. Hit enter, and git throws out a bunch of stuff. And the important thing I want you to see is the last line. Right, in particular these three words. Untracked files present. And basically what Git is trying to tell you is that you said, hey Git, what's up with what's happening in my folder? And Git says there are untracked files here. It's like you told me to watch this folder, but which files exactly, right? All the files in the folder, half of them. The index.html looks important, maybe that one. jQuery looks huge, maybe not that one. Yeah. Anyway, so Git says there are untracked files here, and it gives a helpful suggestion, right? Use git add to track. And so let's try that. I want you to do git add, and I want to track index.html, for instance. And I want you to type index.html. And this way says git, I want you to track you want you watch this folder, and in particular track this file, index.html. Right, so hit enter. And this time if you run git status again, okay, so a command line, another trick in the command line is you press up, right, it's your last command. If you press up twice, it's your history, blah blah blah, and that will save you some time. Anyway, so press do git status again, and you can see that, oh, git is tracking this file, right? Tracking index.html, but it's not tracking the rest. And what we really want to do is to track the rest, right? So imagine we have 100 files, or God forbid 1,000 files. Then we have to do git add this, git add that, git add this. That will take a lot of time. So what you would do, right, normally is just do git add dot. And dot is basically saying git add everything here. Dot basically means this folder. Right? So you're watching this folder, and then now you tell git track everything inside this folder too. Right, hit enter. And now if you do git status, you should see that everything is being tracked. All good? Okay, so now git says this, right? On the third line. Changes to be committed. And what git is saying is that you have some changes that is not backed up yet. Right? We said git watch this folder, git track these files. We haven't said git make a backup now. Right? Because git doesn't know. It doesn't know when to make a backup. Right? You saw those many copies of those files. Git doesn't know when you want to make a backup. Should I make a backup every keystroke? Every save? Right? Every 2 hours? Every 5 seconds? It doesn't know, right? And you need to tell git that. You need to say, I want to do a backup now. Right? I want you to take a picture of everything now and store that. Right? So that I can come back to it in the future if I want to. And so that's the next command. Right? I want you to type git commit. Don't hit enter yet. -m for message, space, followed by a message in quotes. So I'm going to do initial commit. Right. So this basically say git backup now and label this backup initial commit. Right. Because once we have 1,000 backups, it's going to be quite hard to know, to be able to say, oh, I want to jump to my initial commit. That's way easier, right? Like if I have so many backups, I want to be able to name them all. So I can say, oh, I want to go initial commit. I want to go to version 1. Yeah, and it will make sense to you later on. Right? So do this, hit enter. And now run git status again. And you should see git says, very good, nothing to commit. Right? Whatever we have now, we made a backup, and everything is fine. Okay? And now this leads me to the last command of this section before we take a break. And this is git log. And this basically says git show me a log of all the backups I've made. So I hit enter. And you can see, so far I only made one backup, right? I made one commit. And the message is there. My name and user, my name and email is there too. And the time I made the commit, right? All this information git stores. And so it will help you later when you come back to it, right? It says the author, I made the commit. My email is here. If I broke something, you can email me. The date that I made it, the date and time, and finally the message. So this will get a bit more interesting later on when we add more and more backups. Then we can see the log that we have. Alright? And before I end off, right, I'm just going to reiterate the point on the commands that I just taught you, and which is git add and git commit, right? This is the basic git workflow you'll be using most of the time when you're starting out, right? You make some changes, you add, and then you commit, right? This is the basic workflow you should be doing. You would be doing when you just start Git. So you init every folder, you just need to init once. So now you init this folder, right? You don't have to do it again ever, right? So this is the basic cycle you're doing: wash, rinse, repeat, right? You make some changes, you're happy, you go to command line, you do git add, git commit, -m your message, and git makes a backup, and then you continue. You go make change. You make some more changes, right? Then you git add, git commit, -m, git. This cycle. This is the basic workflow for Git that you'll be adopting.
If I make changes based on my existing file, do I need to add it again?
No, yeah, you have to do, this is the basic workflow. You do git, you make changes, and you add them again, and then you commit, right? It's just these 3 steps, right? Even if you add them before, you have to add them again, right? This, there's a good reason for this, but we will not cover that. Just know that you have to do these 3 steps. Yeah, just take my word for it. Because after a while, you will know why, right? If you go read further, if I explain it to you now, it will confuse you, right? Just take my word for it. This is the 3 things you do. I actually do this. This is probably the most used commands of Git that I use, right? You make changes, you do git add dot, and then you do git commit, which is basically git backup now, right? With this message. Okay? If you don't get this now, or you're like, how do I remember so many commands, right? Commit, add, init, log. It's fine. We'll do this at least 3 more times a day, right? We'll make some changes in jQuery, then we'll add and commit. And then by the end of this workshop, hopefully you'll internalize this, right? And hopefully I would have sold you the idea that you should do this every time. Alright? So now we'll take 5 minutes. Those of you who have questions, I think there should be a few. Do raise your hands, we'll come to you. And in 5 minutes, yeah, I'll continue with the rest.